Catherine. My name is Sally Jones. I am with the Peace Action. Peace Action has offices and groups all around the United States. We are in New York City. We have an office of the New York State affiliate of the National Peace Action. So what have we been doing? Well, we work with many groups and we work with chapters of Peace Action in communities. We work on campuses and we started as the Committee for a Sane Nuclear Policy in 1957. So there's many issues about militarization and war and many things that we as American citizens need to deal with. But Peace Action has as its core this history and concern about nuclear weapons ever since it was founded in 1957. So our chapters, our campus organizations, we have, in the fall we'll have 23 campus chapters and 12 community chapters around New York State. We hope that that core message will get out to the next generation. I think we have made a real commitment in New York State to reach the next generation. I'm 69 and I think our generation had a feeling for the danger of nuclear weapons. We had drills, we were close to the stories of the Hibakusha. We read John Hershey's Hiroshima novel, and we understood, many people understood that, the devastation of nuclear weapons. But that hasn't carried over to the next generation, so we have a big job ahead. So our role is education, and almost every single one of our chapters from Buffalo all the way through to Long Island will have some sort of commemoration around Hiroshima and Nagasaki, and they do that every year. That educates people in the community, because that's where you have to start. Thank you.
I'd like to ask Dr. Nagasaki for his experience. Just briefly will be fine.
はじめまして、中井と申します。一応、広島の平和大使の方と、そして長崎の平和特派員の方もやらさせてというか認定させていただいております。So, first of all, my name is TK Nakagaki. I'm actually a Buddhist priest, and I happened to be assigned to the New York Buddhist Church in 1994. Which happened to be the 50th anniversary of the Japanese way of counting of memorial service of the Hiroshima. And then actually the temple is Upper West Side, 105 on Riverside Drive. Although I'm no longer the minister there, but I was assigned there. And in front of the temple, there is a statue of Shinran, which is a founder of Jodo Shinshu, the Pure Land Buddhism. But actually, which was survived in an atomic bomb in Hiroshima in 1945. And so that particular statue was in a kind of witness of what happens. And it was originally intended to send to UN, but UN didn't like, I guess, for some reason, I don't know. But then the minister at that time decided to receive the statue. And so somehow at that time, when the statue came, it took about 10 years actually. So I realized how long it's take. But also the statue itself has the wish of the peace, world peace. So that's where I was a minister there. So that's why I feel like this is my responsibility to start with talking about the peace. But actually, one of the Japanese people are the one who said, maybe not, because the one who dropped the bomb is the U.S. Why do you want to, kind of make people, U.S. bad feeling. But actually the interesting thing is that's a Japanese community. But American community, the religious leaders, they are the ones who encourage me to do it, really. Because if you don't say anything, who's going to say? You're Japanese or you're coming from Japan, and that's your experience. You are the one who should do this. And then that is a most important words for me. That's why I decided to do it every year. This is 1994, so which means this is 25th year that I'm doing the organizing. And before we started like 100 people, but at least now the 300 people or so come, which is very grateful for that. And then I try to move every place, meaning start from the temple. I was stuck there in a way, so I just did with the Riverside Church or the path. But now I'm moving different places because I left the temple 2010, and so since then I try to bring the awareness of the people. And then at the same time we try to do the exhibition too. Although I didn't mention the exhibition, but this part I mentioned about the activities of the August 5th commemoration. And for me, that's the beginning. Before do any nuclear things, I think we show respect to those who have gone before, but including all of the people who were killed by the war too. So that was for me is a very important. And so then that's the start, and then maybe learning from the past, and then where we're going to go from now is one of the questions always I wanted to ask. And then the two things, Japan is the only country who survived. That dropped by the U.S. But yet U.S. is the only country also used the weapons. So I think I really wanted to encourage people, U.S. to be something a little bit more responsible of the things that we created. So that's the thing. So maybe hopefully, nowadays Japan and US got very, very friendly, but in terms of nuclear parts, I think we also need to be really friendly and do the leaders, hopefully. But I don't know, But then that's the hope that I have, and so I wanted to continue the Buddhist concept. We don't have good and bad, but rather we just have a people who realize something to be good, or something, some people still not realize, and so forth. So maybe once you realize, maybe they can change your mind to be able to do something good. So I'm always thinking of this is a country with a hero. Hope U.S. really become a hero of nuclear weapons, not using it, but this abolishing the nuclear weapons. And I would like to thank for this opportunity to invite all of you. And so we try to do the best that we can as people who live in this country. And then, so I'm not doing that much at least, but once a year at least I try to concentrate this. And then I decided to start my new organization because since this is the 25th year. And so encourage the peace within, especially inner peace and outer peace, not just the outside, because outside peace may break again, but then peace should be coming from within each of us for realization. So that's the emphasis that I'm doing. So thank you so much.
If you come late, please take this flyer. He has a ceremony. He does this every year. And this year it's scheduled on August 5th. And also we are organizing a peace gathering in front of the Japanese consulate on August 3rd at noon. So please also come to this event if you can. Next, I'd like to invite media to talk about, how about Kathleen? So please tell us your name, your organization, and what kind of activities you're involved in.
Hello, my name is Catherine Skopik, and in 1986 I was very fortunate to be presenting a workshop in Hiroshima as part of the World Council for Curriculum and Instruction as a professor at Long Island University. At that conference, we were each of us from the United States were presented, I'm going to cry, with one of these leis that was actually made by Hibakusha. And this is one of my most treasured possessions, and it becomes a talking point when I go to places, when I participate in some of these memorial services. And it speaks through this lei made by Hibakusha. I am able to continue speaking about the experience. And I am presently chair of Shutdown Any Point Now, and we are working on closing nuclear power plants. In fact, I just downloaded a whole packet of information. We're going to be lobbying on this issue. There are approximately a little over 100 nuclear power plants in the United States. All of them are aging, dangerous, and they can become sources of explosions even though they're not bombs. And the indigenous people very often are the ones who are mining the uranium. Nuclear power plants give off carbon dioxide and radiation and are dangerous for all of us. So around the world, nuclear power is declining. It's not completely ended, but it created 4 times, renewable energy created 4 times as many new kilowatt hours than did nuclear. So it's definitely in the decline. So I'm honored to be here. Thank you for asking me to speak and for recognizing the lei that was made by Hibakusha when I was in Japan, in Hiroshima in 1986. Thank you.
Jack or Falcon, would you like to share your story? Yeah.
Okay. First of all, I'd like to offer a double apology to the speakers tonight. First, for having dropped the bomb in the first place. The second, for not having made a commitment to end nuclear weapons as the NPT demands. Signing the NPT is actually supposed to be a commitment towards abolition. That's what most people don't understand. Because it's called a non-proliferation treaty, people think it's to preserve the status quo. It's not. It's for an eventual abandonment of nuclear weapons. And we signed the treaty, the U.S., and we haven't abided by the treaty. I did a radio show for the Green Party, internet radio, and I interviewed John Burroughs, who's an anti-nuclear activist, and the poet, Mr. Devashi. I don't recall his first name, but they both spoke about this issue, indicating that the United States was not holding up its obligations. So it's in a sense as if the United States had bombed Hiroshima and Nagasaki twice. And a point that has to be made is that the bombs that we used in Hiroshima and Nagasaki were not hydrogen bombs, they were fusion bombs. Okay, hydrogen bombs are many, many, many times more powerful than the bombs that were dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. So we have to keep that in mind. So the Green Party has always favored the abolition of nuclear weapons and really the use of violence in itself to resolve international problems. And I'm very privileged to be here to communicate, to act in solidarity with everyone who supports that position. Thank you.
Falcon, would you like to, anyone, would you like to share your experience? Go ahead. Please tell your name.
My name is Rebecca Irby, and I just wanted to say thank you so much for joining us today and sharing your stories. My organization is called Peak Institute, and it stands for Peace, Education, Art, and Communication. I have my UN representative here along with some of our interns. We work on and we believe that education is the key to peace in the future. And what we've been doing and working with is we work with college students. So we have some of ours here today. And we bring them to the UN to work on policy, but on the back end, we're working on bringing them to Japan. So we have a documentary and we have a campus in Hiroshima. It's a fully sustainable farm where our vice president lives and works, and we bring students from all over the world to Hiroshima to do conflict resolution training, and then also introduce them to Hibakusha and bring them around Nagasaki and Hiroshima to give them experiential learning experience and transformative experiences, because we think it's really powerful when you go to Japan. So I had the experience of being in Japan on vacation. I went to Hiroshima and I was so incredibly touched when I met a Hibakusha. It was life-changing for me. I work in education, but I decided to make a documentary which was shown at the Mayors for Peace conference, and from that is where I was able to create this organization, and I see the power of people really deeply understanding what happened. As an American and someone who works in education, I thought I was educated, I thought I knew what happened in World War II. And when I visited, I realized I really had absolutely no idea. And we think that that message and this experience is so important, and that's what we're working on perpetuating and hoping that we can bring more people into that.
So the next segment is about discussion, how we're going to collaborate with them, or how we're going to move on from here to pass the stories of Hibakusha. So let's take 2 minutes break. We have some snacks there, not much.